Hey guys, what's up? This is Jeremy from the New Release Wall. Today I want to talk about Oppenheimer. Um, it's been in theaters for a while and it just came out available to basically like buy to stream it. Um, so my kid already saw it in the theaters and he was excited for me to watch it. And so he talked me into spending $20 to go, to stream it. And I knew it was going to be like a decent movie. I knew it was going to be a decent movie. It's got Christopher Nolan as the director. Um, it's got Cillian Murphy. Of course, we're a big fan of his from a lot of his movies, but mostly Peaky Blinders. So anyway, he was really excited for me to watch it, and so we did, and it was cool. Like it was good. It was a good, solid movie. On the New Release Wall's rating scale, I give it an I recommend. Um, it was good. It was solid. You know what I mean? If you like longer, like it's definitely not an action movie. The movie's 3 hours long, so get ready to sit for a bit. You know what I mean? It's a highbrow movie, so you're gonna have to pay close attention to what's being said and the nuances of everybody. You know what I mean? What's being discussed, and so you have to pay close attention. It's not like, again, it's not an action movie. See, when I first started watching the movie, I thought that it was going to be mostly about there's an idea to try some build up to try it, and then it kind of goes wrong, or there's some big problem. It's not going to work out, but then there's a breakthrough, or there's a eureka moment, and then it does. There's success. That's what I thought this movie was going to be about. But honestly, the movie's more about how they kind of certain people tried to railroad Oppenheimer. He was a scientist that had, communist ties. According to Ben Shapiro, the movie kind of downplays his real affiliation with communists.
There's some good evidence that he was actively being used by the Soviets in the early 1940s, even during the Manhattan Project.
I don't know how true it is, and I don't know if I care enough to look up and see how accurately they portrayed him. I mean, but the film has to be accurate enough. You know what I mean? Like there's a big problem between him and his boss, Strauss, who was kind of jealous of him, resented him a little bit, probably because, although he was the boss, Oppenheimer was the rock, like the rock star scientist. And even though he was his boss, people still probably looked up to Oppenheimer more than him. And it seemed to me like he took every little thing, to heart. And so in the end, tried to railroad him sort of to advance his career. He wanted a seat in the cabinet. Again, it was interesting because one of the reasons it was interesting is because you get a feel for the vibe around that time, that back in the day. You know what I mean? We didn't know a lot about what was going on in Germany or in Russia. We have the gift of hindsight now. Back then, communism was a new idea, and intellectuals would entertain the idea because they thought, they're like, well, it's because it sounds good. Communism sounds good. Sounds like it'll make everything more fair. It sounds like, they'll try to level the playing field and everybody gets But we now have the gift of hindsight and a lot of examples of how horrid communism always seems to go. But back in those days, it was a new idea, and so intellectuals would, entertain it, of course. So you could forgive somebody for you know what I mean, for like thinking, maybe communism is the way of the future. You know what I mean? So you can forgive the guy for like entertaining these new ideas. So anyway, so because he entertained these new ideas, they railroaded him for it. Like it's like you know how nowadays there's the woke, like anything they can tie whatsoever to racism, no matter how silly it is, they'll do it. That's how they were back in the day with communism. Like, if they could tie, if you looked at a communist 10 years ago, you could be a communist. You know what I mean? It was during the time of what was called the Red Scare. Anyway, so other than that, like what I was most interested in is, of course, the depiction of how someone would feel personally when, of course, you want to work on the because it's a landmark achievement in history to split the atom and build at least the ability to, like, you know what I mean, split the atom and make a bomb. So it's almost like you can't let that go, but at the same time, it's going to get used against, you know what I mean, to kill a lot of people. So I thought the way that Christopher Nolan shot some scenes were genius. There were some scenes where it would kind of like, it would be like he's in a normal room talking to people, but then he would have kind of like visions of the result of, you know what I mean, the nuclear bomb. And I thought it was good. I love those sort of spiritual visual depictions of, what do you call it, spiritual experiences. I like that a lot. And those are the parts that I appreciated the most about this movie. And of course, it does, like, the movie does go over how he kind of was torn between pride in his work and regret. Like, I don't know if regret's the right word. Possibly a mixture of regret and guilt. And after the movie, we actually looked up a real video of Oppenheimer discussing that feeling, and it, like, I mean, he was choked up in this video, and so it shows that it was like he really did feel like that. It wasn't just artistic license of the movie. He in fact, the video showed he was more broken up about it than even the movie might have suggested. But yeah, it had to be wild to be, the guy who is responsible for the first bomb, and knowing you played a key part in the decision chain to drop it on Hiroshima. You know what I mean? Like, that had to, if anything is going to cause a spiritual upheaval inside of a person, that would definitely do it. I mean, you're connected to the chain of decisions that resulted in a lot of people dying. You know what I mean? And before the movie, I didn't even know that, like, there was some discussion about that Japan was already on its last leg, and dropping the bomb might have been unnecessary and kind of a flex towards Russia. Like, look what we got. You really want, you know what I mean? Because, like, everyone sort of knew that as soon as this war was done, Russia and America were going to, like, turn towards each other, like there's going to be a problem here. And this was kind of like us sending a signal to them, like, we got this, and we are obviously willing to drop it. So do you really want to go down this road? That was kind of what I like. Something that was like something I didn't know. Some people were suggesting that Japan was almost defeated anyway, but then again, that was back when Japan's were a bunch of samurais. Those guys, I don't know if you can make them quit. You ever watch them fight in Pride? Like, they don't quit easy. So maybe, you could argue that, they were going to quit anyway. I don't know. Japanese people don't quit very easily. So maybe that's just speculation on their side. You know what I mean? And anyway, I digress. So in the end, I think Oppenheimer is a very worthwhile movie on the level of like Schindler's List. All those important, there's some movies that are they seem almost important to watch just for a general feel of that period in history and those events in certain time periods, kind of like Private Ryan. Of course, it's not gonna. Private Ryan was full of action. If you like that, There Will Be Blood, this is going to be right up your alley. Because these kind of movies, or even the newest one that I didn't care for that much. Actually, I'm not going to bring that up right now because I'm going to do a review on that probably after this one. But anyway, so this is an I recommend, because I do recommend it. Stop by the new release wall, and the link's in the description. Let me know what you thought about it, or just comment below, what you think about it. Like, give it a rating of one of these, or stop by the new release wall. Sign up for a critic account. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review.